Come along with me as I try to bring some calm back to the chaos of my kitchen. Now, this was a Friday afternoon. I was working from home, but I've been so busy at work that I hadn't been able to turn my attention to sorting out the kitchen or a dining room area at all. And it just got to the point where my desk area is in this like main living area. You'll see the back of my chair there on the right hand side. And so I have all this chaos behind me. And I was just like, I can't cope with this anymore. Every time I turn around or I go to get a glass of water, whatever it is, yeah, there's stuff everywhere. I had picked up some stuff. The living room was looking pretty good. Okay, so the whole house is not like this, but the kitchen and the dining room area was a little bit chaotic. Now, we'd run out of bread this particular morning, and my kids normally like toast. So I decided that I would make some like American style blueberry pancakes instead. I don't know why I felt like that was a good substitution, and I wasn't just like, we'll just have porridge and cereal instead of having your toast starter before your porridge and cereal. But I had it in my head like it wasn't substantial enough and I would need to make something like pancakes. So that took quite some time, but also created quite a mess, and all of that we still have to sort out. So whenever I am tidying up a space, particularly the kitchen area, but whenever I'm starting with a project, I'm like, oh my God, this is a mess. We start with rubbish. Now, I set a timer for 15 minutes because when I'm in a funk or I'm struggling to get something started, I always think like just saying like I'm going to spend 15 minutes on this particular area just gets me going, and also it makes me move faster. So I was sorting out the rubbish. I had the recycling bags. First thing, sort out the recycling, then take the bin bag out. Our food recycling bin had already been emptied that morning by my husband. So that was one job I did not have to do. So once we have sorted out the rubbish, then it will be time to tackle some dishes. This thing I'm trying to make up here, I just gave up and I put it in the bin, honestly. This is actually like a craft project that my kids and I had done a few weeks ago, and we made bridges, and it's been flattened and destroyed and it just needed to go, but it has some cardboard on it, and I had in my head like, we'll try and recycle the cardboard and take it off the little like wire things. And yeah, anyway, if it takes you too long to do something, just give up and move on. So then we are emptying out the bins, and it is time now, having taken that outside, to put a new bin bag in and move on to the washing up. I would say one of the main things I love about working from home is that I can tackle jobs around the house. If I get a pocket of time, or I take a bit of a lunch break, then I can get some things done. And as I said, it was a really busy day at work. I don't know why, but I've ended up in a position where like my Fridays always seem to be really busy on client meetings. I had 2 client presentations this day, and it was quite a busy day, not too stressful, and I have some awesome clients I work with, but it was busy. But if I did not work from home, my role is actually a home working role, I end up going into London, I would say once every week or maybe once every couple of weeks. I actually haven't been in since before Christmas. Like, this is the longest stretch I haven't been in the office for absolutely ages, because I've had things planned for the city, and then there's been so many bugs and viruses going around that the people that I was due to meet have all cancelled on me. So I'm gutted for them, but it's been nice to be at home for that longer stretch. But if I did not work from home, honestly, I just don't know how I would cope. Like, with 3 young kids and a busy job working long hours, if I was still traveling into the city every day, which is what I was doing when I had my firstborn. So he's nearly 7, or will be 7 this year. And when I had him and I returned to work after maternity leave, then I was in the city 3 days a week. So I worked 3.5 days after I had him. I now work 4 long days. So I do almost a full-time week in 4 days. But the time I was traveling in 3 days a week, and then I had 1 day off with him, and I worked from home for half a day. And the 3 days that I was in London were just so stressful, like having to get up so early, get him ready, get him to nursery, get on the train, get that like solid day done, and then back again, picking up from nursery. And by the time he was in bed, like I was done in. and trying to get anything done. And then it was just so much. And now with 3 kids, and like take this morning, and the chaos that came with making pancakes, I mean, firstly, if I was going into the city, like my boys would have to be in a breakfast club at school. So I guess that's one less thing to sort out. You don't have breakfast things to tidy up if your kids are not there to eat. But I already feel so bad that they are in after school clubs 3 days a week. To have them out for like an even longer period of time would just destroy me. And I know that so many people have to do that. And I am so grateful that I have a more flexible job. It means I can be at home a lot more. But it's the jobs, even if you're a mum who, you've got the ability to have that, breakfast clubs and after school clubs, like then you are still out of the house. I mean, I say mum, it's dads as well. But, if you are a parent and you are out of the house for a long period of time, like how on earth do you get anything done? So my husband does mostly work in an office. Like he goes between different offices, but he is mostly in an office. And so I generally do a bit more around the house than him. But it's just simply because I am able to do it. But if I didn't have that flexibility, like honestly, I do not know what we would do. We would be eating ready meals all the time. And the house would be in an even worse state than it gets now. But Friday, I was thinking about this when I was doing this tidy up. The last time I filmed a video like this was exactly like a week before. It was on a Friday. And it clearly is a slightly busier day for us. I mean, it is a busier day for us for obvious reasons, because my husband finishes early on a Friday. So he finishes at 3 o'clock when the kids finish school, picks them all up. But then often he's like still juggling a bit of work then, and he'll still have the odd call or whatever that he'll be trying to like dive into that whilst keeping an eye on the kids and making them some dinner. And here, I mean, basically I had left things too long on this table. So the blueberry pancakes had spilled out over a couple of plates and actually ended up with a little bit of a blueberry stain on the table. And that really upset me. And it's silly really, because I mean, our table, we've purposely got a table which is supposed to be like hardy wearing, and it's a sturdy table, and it's not to be kept like in pristine condition. It's robust and rustic, shall we say. So this table was actually made by my friend. I played the role of assistant, but he made the table, and it's one of those tables like if we need to, we could sand it back and then we could seal it again, and that would be absolutely fine. But it is not a table to like get upset about with a few marks. And that was purposely the case when we chose to have that table. Like I'd seen loads like it on the internet and they were so expensive. So originally I thought that I always have these ideas of like big DIY projects. Like I can totally do this. I've watched a couple of videos, watched a couple of YouTube videos, and then you could do anything. And I went to my local wood yard, and I was going to get scaffold boards. They had scaffold boards, but they were a bit like they would have needed a lot of sanding to get them back to kind of a nicer wood. And then they had these thicker boards. And when I told the guy there what I was going to do with them, he was like, yeah, definitely get these thicker boards. And I had them delivered, and they were like, no joke, they went from like almost one end of my house to the other. They were so long. And so my stepdad, basically, when I decided on this project, I was like, well, I know my stepdad will make this table with me, right? Because he's so handy. Like he's unbelievably skilled when it comes to construction. That's not something he does for a living. It's just something he loves. So he came and firstly, like cut the boards roughly to size with me. And then he suffered a series of strokes, and it was just devastating. Like he went from being like the healthiest, fittest, running around doing all the things guy, and he didn't have high blood pressure. He had the more unusual like kind of strokes where you have a weakness basically of the vessels in your brain. And yeah, it was just so distressing for obvious reasons for the family. And then I was about to give birth to my youngest, Daisy. She's now 2. And I was not far off giving birth, and we had these like planks of wood stacked up in the house. And yeah, my friend took pity on us and basically just took the wood away to his workshop and made the table and brought it back for us, which is awesome. And I love that we have that in the house. And like, it's also, in a way, like it's a reminder of a really sad time, but it's mostly when I look at it, I see how like friends come together and help you out when you need them, when bad things happen. Like, we're so lucky if we have those people around us that can help like bail us out. Otherwise I'd have just been giving away some expensive wood locally without having my new table. So I'm very glad that that was not the case. So I should say that my timer did run out and I added another 10 minutes on the clock. So I mean, to take like 25 minutes to tidy up the kitchen and the dining room, in some ways, that feels like a lot to me. Like in my head, I think I always think that these jobs will take 10 minutes. But here, things had built up and they built up during the day. I'd had some lunch items, we had all the breakfast stuff, but we had, everything had just been put on the side basically and put off. And I had some recycling to do. And I said in a previous video that I absolutely hate doing like recycling when I have things to pour out. And I had done that. I'd made myself do those things. So that was really good to like get on top of a few jobs as well, get everything tidied up and looking great ahead of the weekend. And once the kids were back from school, it was much easier to keep it looking nicer as well. So, they come in, they have their dinner. Obviously, that creates a bit more in terms of dishes, etc. But it didn't get back to that state that it had been when I started. I have some chicken under that netting there, which is defrosting, which is what I was cooking later in the day. So otherwise, though, it's looking so much better. We have usable work surface, again, a gleaming hob, and a kitchen island which isn't covered in kids' toys, and the table is looking much better with its little blueberry stain and everything. And I still haven't got around to picking up the changing mat from the living room floor. I did do that later. But otherwise, I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I will see you in the next one. Bye.